So this is going to begin our series on stress. What I want us to do is, as we look at stress and how we feel, remember stress is going to be our reaction. It's our inner tension that we feel due to situations that are presented to us. So that's stress. And then the stressor is going to be what causes those stresses. So what I want us to look at is that reaction, that stress. So looking at stress and looking at your life, let's rate your stress. And this is subjective. This is something that you get to determine. On a regular basis, what is your daily stress like? A 1 would represent something like, yeah, there's no stress at all. And 5 meaning, you know what, I'm going to need some serious help in a minute. So go ahead and rate 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 what you feel your level of stress is on a regular basis. And then put that number off to the side. We're going to need that in just a minute. All right, so continuing on with stress, that's a great introduction to the social readjustment rating scale that was developed by Holmes and Rahe. And so on this scale, they listed, they like numbers. In science, we just like numbers. Numbers represent a story. So if you think about it, 100, and when you link 100 to degrees, that means something. It means you're in Houston and you're half dying. If it's related to the miles per hour that you were running as you got pulled over by the cop, that means a hefty ticket. If you're looking at 100 and you put it with a grade, you're able to see that as I did fabulously. So numbers really do tell us a story. And so we wanted to do that. What they did is they focused on major life events. So these are going to be the big things. They don't come around very often. And so what they did was they looked at how it changes your life and determined a number that went along with the severity of that change of life. And so each one of the major life events that they list has a numerical designation next to it, and those are called life change units. So major life events have numbers called life change units, and what that does is that just represents how impactful that stressor actually is. All right, so here's a look at the list, and you see number 1 on the list of major life events is going to be death of a spouse. So what they say is that if these events happened within the last 12 months, you're going to write that number down. So that's one of the big things about looking at this list, is it had to have happened within the last 12 months. And then each time it happened, you're going to write that number down. So death of a spouse, according to Holmes and Rahe, was the number 1 stressor that you could have as far as major life events. Then you see divorce, separation, jail term, etc. And however many times it's happened, that's how many times you're going to associate that number. So if I lost my spouse and lost my job, I'm going to have 147 for my life change units. And then I'll continue on down the list, and here's a continuation of that list. Again, and so when we're looking at these, as you see the lesser number, they're saying they're less impactful. Now, I think it's really important that we see that vacation is listed here, and so is Christmas. So think about vacation as a stressor. Do we want it? Yeah, we're not going to give our time back to our boss and work through our vacation. We want to take that. But the decision on where to go, coming up with the money to go, deciding who gets the kids, are we taking them or are we dumping them off on a relative? Christmas, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, Christmas is an absolute stressful time of year. Try going to buy a pair of socks when it's Christmas season. You're going to park in a whole new zip code, have to walk all the way to the store, and then fight off angry shoppers. So after I go through all of these and write down each one of these items that is a reflection of what I've gone through, I'm going to have a total. So when I total all of those things, this is how we're going to interpret this. So less than 150 life change units, according to Holmes and Rahe, you don't have any significant stress. So no matter what, if you're under 150, you're not stressed. Okay, so that's what that 150 life change units mean. However, when we get to 150 to 199 life change units, you're in mild life crisis. Now, when we look at stress, and this is absolutely true, we'll get into the biology in a minute, but the mild life stress it affects you. It affects your concentration. It affects your ability to sleep. It affects your immune system. You are not well when you're stressed. And so Holmes and Rahe found that if you scored in this area, you're 33% more likely to become ill or have an accident. And so this does affect our life. Then we have 200 to 299. This is moderate life crisis, and you know it's just going to get worse. Okay, and at this point, we're 50% more likely to experience an illness or an accident in the near future. Over 300, you're in major life crisis, and you're 80% more likely to experience an illness or accident in the near future. All right, so this is where they end. Excuse me, this is where they end, but I want us to look and see where we fall in here. So the level of stress, the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 that I asked you to do at the beginning, does it reflect what actually your social readjustment rating scale is? Oftentimes it doesn't. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick up on that in our next segment.